All right, so I hope this message lands with you and makes an impact on you the way it has on me. And this conversation with you guys starts with, how do we, let me take a step back. It starts with, I think for forever now, everything that's being taught and everything we know about being in sales implies that we communicate in a way that persuades people to do business with us. And maybe you look at that and say, okay, well, what is the issue with that? And I think about that a lot, because here's the first thought I want to share with you in today's rant, which has been a while, but it was a great morning. So I wanted to get this to you guys. So when we go into conversation with the prospect and we communicate that from the beginning, we want their business, that we're going to communicate in such a way that implies we want to do business with them from the beginning. As I thought about that, I said, well, wait a minute. That also implies, and it also suggests that they have all the power. That in other words, you give them all the influence from the beginning of the relationship. That it's up to them whether or not we do business together. That we become the puppet and they become the puppet master. Because the second thing I want to unpack is sometimes, well, not sometimes, I would say most of the time, we have this needy, desperate way about ourselves, because I think somewhere in us thinks that, well, they are the one in control. They are the one that gets to make this decision, Brandon. They're the customer, they're the client, they're the prospect. They get to decide, they get to make all the decisions. To which I thought about that too. And I said, well, let me go deep on that. Is that true? Here's what I came up with. Who has more to offer in a relationship between you and a prospect? Let's think about this. Who has more to offer who? Who needs more from who? And I said, okay, well, the only way to answer that question is answering this question. Which is bringing more to the table? So check this out. What does the prospect have that we so desperately want? Money. And isn't money a commodity? Can't we get money anywhere? Can't we go do a bunch of different things to get money? Money, I mean, you could go get money a million different ways. More than that, millions of different ways. Isn't that true? You can go get a job. You could do all kinds of stuff for money. But what do you bring to the table? Well, there's only one of you on the planet. Is that fair? Isn't it reasonable that you as an individual are a lot more scarce? You're a lot more rare than money. And when I started to think about that, I'm like, well, absolutely 100%. And because there's only one of you, you bring a unique nuance to your business that not one other person can do, that not one other person can compete with, because you're you and I'm me. And I can never be you and you can never be me. And it's the small nuance, it's the small world views, it's the small unique skill sets that we all bring to serving our clients that can never be duplicated. And so therefore, who actually has more value to offer? And as a result, the next thing I'll talk to you about, I said, well, man, if that's true, and if I believe that, which I do, you can decide if you believe in that or not. I believe that I bring as much or more to the table than the prospect does, because all the prospect has is money. And I can get money a million different ways, but I'm the only me in the world that they could potentially get. And so I said, okay, let's even the playing field. Let's create a world where I don't come out of the gate suggesting that the prospect has all the power over me, so that I don't have to come across desperate. I don't have to jump, or rather ask, when they say jump, ask how high. I don't have to do that. I can equal the playing field. In other words, if we do business together, it will be because we have a mutual exchange of value. It won't be because you placed unrealistic demands on me that I agree to and then later resent you for it. No, it's not because you gave me the business if I discount my fee next to nothing so I end up working for free and then later resent you for it. No, I do business with clients who want to do business with me under a mutual exchange of value, that there's a level of mutual respect so that I can serve the client at the highest level, so they can have an absolute world-class experience doing business with me. So at the end of that experience, they look back and say, wow, we're so happy to have you in our life. And so much so that they start introducing you to other people, other great clients. And so practically, how do we do this? If you're sick of being needy, you're sick of being desperate, you're sick of having to agree to things that make you question your self-worth, how do we come across with what I call high value status? Better yet, how do we become a person of high value status? Well, the next time you find yourself in a client or a prospect interaction, rather than making yourself just so available, rather than, cancel your kid's birthday party because this client I got this client, I got to meet with this client. You do anything for them at any point in time because you think that's serving people, when in actuality, what's happening is you're just commoditizing yourself the more available you make yourself. Instead of doing that, we can do something different. Because imagine this for a second. Imagine you had this crazy sore in the back of your mouth and you had to get a root canal in your tooth. And you ask your friend, you say, hey, I got to get this thing fixed. And who's the best doctor? Who's the best dentist? And one dentist you contact says, well, geez, I haven't seen a patient in quite some time. You know what? I can just probably come over to your house and do it. Or your friend makes a personal introduction to the best dentist in the town who has a packed calendar, but because you're a new patient is willing to get you in at a moment's notice because you're in so much pain. Which one has more value to you? There's maybe a better analogy for that, but you get it. So how do we do it? So the next time you're in conversation with people, don't be the little boy on prom night. Don't be so excited. What we can do is start to speak in a way that the person perceives it's going against our own interest. As an example, you may say things like the prospect asks you to meet and you respond with, hey, listen, I'm happy to meet, but to shoot you straight, I'm not the agent for everyone. And when you hear that, when you think of that, how did that make you feel? How did that land with you? I'm not the agent for everyone. Because what is every salesperson or every real estate agent, how do they operate? I will do business with anybody who will agree to do business with me. That's a scarcity mindset. When we communicate from abundance, isn't it reasonable and isn't it true that you aren't the best agent for everyone, that there are people out there that you don't want to work with? And so when you can speak against your own interest, you actually become irresistible, more desirable. The prospect desires you more. Why? Because people want what they can't have, as you know. And so you say, listen, I'm not the agent for everybody. Happy to meet, happy to share with you what I do to help my clients get their houses on the market and get them sold for a premium. And I'd like to ask you some questions too, just to make sure that if we are going to work together, that it does make sense for both of us. Is that fair? And of course the prospect says, oh my gosh, absolutely fair. And now the prospect says, wow, we're dealing with a real professional, because you have communicated in a way where you don't need their business, but certainly you'd like their business, you'd like to work with them, but you need nothing from them. That quite the opposite. They need something from you more than you need something from them. I hope this helps.